Molly Hatchet. I play a little electric guitar.
Yeah. Hey, welcome back to Doug Pagitt Radio on AM 950 and DougPagittRadio.com. My guest is Maureen Hackett. So I thought I'd play a little Molly Hatchet.
I love it.
I know that's not funny. To
Patients at the state hospital used to call me Dr. Hatchet.
Did they really?
Yeah, they
I
did.
like it. I like it. Maureen has done a lot of things. She is an MD. She was a candidate for Congress, and she is a part of this effort, MN350.org. You should go take a look at it. If you're listening online right now, just click on over MN for Minnesota 350. The numbers.org. And it is a call for a global day of action in the Twin Cities. And there's a lot going on. This is Saturday, 2 o'clock. I'm going to just run through some of the details. A big thing happening at 2 o'clock, including a kickoff bike ride 3 hours earlier at 11 a.m. at the Stone Arch Bridge. And they're biking over to the Capitol. And then an interfaith procession with the Heart of the Beast puppets. That's fun. I can't imagine how
in a river of solutions.
In a
have
river?
people dressing in blue for the River of Solutions.
Is that true? The
That's
River
true.
of Solutions.
We're having a River of Solutions.
Come on, I love.
We're also going to have a booth where you can confess your climate sins.
This is really?
Yes, you can go in and talk about how you maybe indulge in certain climate.
If I didn't spend most
activities.
Saturday just sitting around doing nothing, I might come over to this.
Come over for a half hour.
Maybe I'll come over for a half hour.
Everybody
I think
should just think about coming for a half hour. We have Metro Transit buses online free for the day.
Well, excellent. Well, Maureen, tell us a little bit about what this effort is and why you got involved in it. Like a lot of people know, okay, the climate is the climate, but what is it that you're advocating? What's your push? You want to move beyond the fossil fuels into something else? Are you talking nuclear power or solar power or
I would
nanotechnologies?
I think everybody's talking about solutions to move our climate to a more livable level of greenhouse gases and whatever that takes. No, I wouldn't say we're talking nuclear, especially after the Japanese issue and with all of our unstable weather. I think with our unstable weather right now, we're not advocating that, but we're advocating a myriad of solutions. And one of the things that we're representing with the bike ride is biking can be a very big part of this solution. And even at the federal level, if we would get our bike paths and our walking paths more funded, we could save 1.4 billion gallons of oil a year.
Is that a lot?
That's a lot.
I don't know how much once people start talking billions, I'm like done. So I don't really.
Okay, yeah, you've got a point there.
Is that a lot of fuel that would be saved in that way? Like if somebody decides to bike to work, because I know the biking.
Well, to give you an idea, every gallon of gas that you burn, whether it's in a hybrid or a regular car, is 19 pounds of carbon.
19 pounds of carbon.
For every gallon of gas.
And is that
a
a
barrel?
lot? Is that like in elephant pounds, or is that?
That's our pounds. That's like a 20 pounds.
Yeah, but is that a lot in for the 350 parts per million in the atmosphere? Is that a lot, or is that like? Well,
it's a million lots. Put it that way. Everybody burning a little bit comes into a lot, and I think we're putting in. Al Gore has it on his Climate Reality website. We're putting in 9 tons a day, 90 million tons a day.
Yeah. So I guess while we're waiting for people to come up with a better idea than burning oil, which is a 100-year process. I mean, a 100-year idea, right?
Coal, too.
Coal, 150 years. Oil, 100 years. Like, we've only been screwing up the planet in this way for the last 150 years. We really need some people to come up with a better idea.
To give you an idea, we were at 290 parts per million of carbon before the Industrial Revolution. We moved it up to 350 in about 1989.
Okay.
Every bit of carbon lasts about 60 years in the atmosphere.
All right.
So we need to back it down. And so we're looking at all kinds of solutions, including renewable energy. We're going to have wind and solar. We, of course, believe in that. There's also water and wave energy and geothermal. We have that. And then we certainly have technology, increasing efficiency. And then we have making good choices. Mass transit would be wonderful because trains are massively efficient in compared with driving cars.
Well, what seems interesting about this effort going on this Saturday, September 24th, in the Twin Cities, Stone Arch Bridge, and then the Minnesota State Capitol over in St. Paul, is that you've got you're trying to do this as a social movement, right? So people, all of my deeply committed environmentalist activist friends, right, like who work for organizations either as volunteers or they always feel alone. Right? They always feel like they're the one that's talking about that, and everybody else is sort of like, oh, okay, could you keep it down? And what seems interesting about this is pulling together people who are part of this wide network of thinkers and activists in this area into a common parade and celebration and possibility of moving forward.
Yes, and we're going to have speakers too. Exactly. I mean, even people who are advocating, like one of the ways that we can really keep our carbon down is to not deforest. You know, just not cutting down forests, preserving forests, planting in mangroves and absorbing more carbon instead of paving it. So there are many different ways. In terms of technology, though, certainly if we could invent fusion,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be phenomenal. It's almost like free energy. I mean, it costs a lot to produce fusion, but in terms of the environmental costs, it'd be phenomenal. And there are efforts being made. I do know of efforts still going on with
people are working
researching.
on stuff all over the place.
Oh,
but
yeah.
in the meantime,
if we could make ethanol in a way that was a little less intrusive as corn, I mean, there are ways of making ethanol.
Yeah.
And ethanol, when you burn it, is wonderful. Is not bad for the environment, like petrochemicals.
Yeah.
And if we could use less fertilizers and so that those are heat trapping also. And if we could keep methane from melting in the permafrost. So there are lots and different
there's all these things
issues.
and different groups of people who know
Exactly.
about different parts of this. And many of them are joining together on Saturday the 24th in the Twin Cities to collaborate and meet one another and sort of advocate for a whole movement.
And we are inviting and have invited the faith community because we believe that there is a whole moral dimension to this. We feel that rather than just sticking with people might use the pejorative term tree huggers or environmentalists, let's move toward people who really are concerned about the habitats for their songbirds, their children's future. How they are stewards of the earth.
Yeah, and just how the planet is going. You would think, for me, it's so obvious that a Christian person, and I think any religious person, carries an obligation to live well with their neighbors and all of creation. I mean, there's no arguing that within religious circles, right?
Yes.
Everyone knows you are supposed to love God and your neighbor, and love your neighbor as you love yourself, and meaning you would care for yourself and you would preserve your own life. So one ought to be doing that. And
it's all about
so
love.
often the distance between someone's caring for their neighbor and how they would advocate on behalf of technological issues, people very often don't see any connection between those things at all.
And sometimes they see judgment as playing, pejorative judgment. And I myself have to make sure that when I look at that Hummer driving down the road that I don't feel too negative, because if I can connect with people and get them to make choices that might compensate for, obviously we don't want Hummers on the road, but we all have our climate sins,
Right.
and we all have our climate possibilities. And if we all make climate choices, even small ones, but millions of small ones can make a big difference.
Well, Maureen, I'm glad you're part of this. I'm glad it's going on. Folks, it's at MN350.org. That's the website. You can find all the information about this. There's musicians. I don't know any of these people because I'm not young and hip. But
we have Lucy Michelle and the Velvet Lapels.
I was going to say Lucy Michelle and the Velvet
and
Lapels.
Alicia Wiley.
Yeah, I mean, these all sound like very interesting people.
And the New Primitives.
So it's all happening this Saturday here in the Twin Cities. People biking, people talking, people having a street party. Join us.
Come out to the state capitol, 9/24, Saturday. Come out, even if it's only for a brief period of time. Yep. It's going to be great.
Thanks, Maureen. Hey,
thanks for having me. Thank you.
And stick around, folks. We're going to keep this conversation going with a conversation about a global voices of nonviolence on AM 950 and DougPagittRadio.com.